My husband promised me a quiet anniversary dinner, just the two of us. Instead, I walked into a surprise party full of his family, who barely tolerated me. His sister stood up, clinking her glass, and yelled, "Let's toast to the real woman who's always been there for him, his ex." I choked back tears and left without a word. 6 months later, I was the one holding the divorce papers and his family was banned from every important moment of his life. I didn't grow up around people who played games. I'm from a small town outside Roanoke, Virginia. Folks there speak plain, keep their heads down, and mean what they say. So when I met Cody, loud, charming, always the center of attention, he felt different. Not bad different. Just like someone from another world. A world I thought I could fit into, as long as I loved him enough. We met in college. I was 22, working nights to pay for school. He was 24, already graduated, coasting through life on some family money and good looks. He saw me at a bookstore, made a joke about me buying the last copy of To Kill a Mockingbird, and I laughed. Stupid stuff like that. But that's how it starts. He made me feel seen. Picked me up from shifts. Left little notes in my car. Said he liked how quiet I was, how I balanced him out. Said I was solid. That word stuck with me. I liked being solid. When he introduced me to his family the first time, I felt like I'd wandered into someone else's movie. His parents lived in a massive house near Biltmore Forest in Asheville, North Carolina. Real marble countertops. A chandelier in the bathroom. Everyone talked fast and laughed loud, and they all had this way of talking over each other that made my head spin. His mom hugged me, then turned to Cody and whispered, not as quietly as she thought, "She's sweet." His sister Rachel looked me up and down like she was inspecting a hotel room she didn't want to stay in. But Cody smiled, squeezed my hand, and whispered, "Ignore them." I did. For 4 years. Every birthday, every holiday, every barbecue I showed up. I smiled. I made the green bean casserole no one touched. I laughed at their stories even when they cut me off. I told myself it was worth it. That love meant compromise. But their comments never stopped. They called me simple. Told me Cody used to date someone more lively. One Thanksgiving, his aunt asked if I ever loosen up, or if I was just naturally stiff. I told Cody once, early on, that it hurt. He said, "They'll come around." They never did. But I married him anyway. Because I believed in him. I believed that we were building something bigger than his family's opinions. We bought a little 2-bedroom house west of town. Nothing fancy, but I painted the walls myself. I planted hydrangeas in the yard. I made it home. We had quiet nights with takeout and movie marathons. On those nights, he felt like mine again. Away from all that noise. Then came our 5th anniversary. I told him a month ahead I didn't want a party. I didn't want gifts. I didn't want his family. I just wanted him. Us. A quiet night at Bellinate, that small Italian spot where he first told me he loved me. He nodded, pulled me into a hug, and said, "Just the two of us. Promise." The night came. He dressed nice. He picked me up. We drove. I was smiling. Then he took a turn. A wrong one. I frowned. "Babe? That's not the way." He grinned. "Trust me." I said nothing. I wanted to trust him. I wanted to believe he had something sweet planned. He pulled up in front of his parents' house. My heart sank. I felt it in my chest, like something pressing down. He hopped out and opened my door. "Come on, it'll be fun." Before I could even speak, the door opened and I heard shouting. Surprise. Cameras flashed. Loud music played. I stepped inside, and there were 30 people. Cousins, uncles, some I hadn't seen since the wedding. And Ashley. Ashley. The ex. The one who sent him a long Facebook message the week we got engaged, saying, no hard feelings. The one his mom still mentioned every damn time we visited. Ashley used to make the best sangria. Ashley loved the beach. Ashley had such style. And now here she was. In my anniversary party. I looked at Cody. He looked proud. Like he'd done something amazing. Look, everyone came, he said, beaming. Everyone but me. I tried to smile. I really did. I took a step in. People hugged me. Someone handed me a glass of cheap champagne. I stood by the wall like a ghost. Then it happened. Rachel, his sister, banged her spoon on a wine glass. Everyone. A toast, she yelled. People quieted. She raised her glass and said, let's toast to the real woman who's always been there for Cody, his ex. There was a pause. Then laughter. Loud, cruel, careless laughter. Ashley blushed. His mom giggled. And Cody? He just smiled. Awkward, sure. But he didn't stop it. He didn't say a word. My throat closed up. I couldn't breathe. I set my glass down. Quietly. Walked out the door. Got in the car. Drove home. I didn't cry in the car. I didn't scream. I just sat there in silence when I got home. Took off my dress. Sat on the edge of the bed. That night, I didn't sleep. Cody came home hours later, reeking of wine and someone else's cologne. Babe, what was that? You just left, he said. I didn't answer. I rolled over. I made up my mind that night. This marriage was over. He just didn't know it yet. The next morning, I woke up early. I made coffee like always. I packed his lunch like always. I even kissed him goodbye. But something inside me had turned cold. I wasn't going to yell. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to wait. Watch. Plan. Over the next few weeks, I started gathering things, not physical stuff. Information. I quietly pulled our financial records. Looked into what accounts were in my name, what was joint, what was his alone. I took pictures of documents. I opened a new checking account in just my name. I reconnected with an old college friend, Taylor, who was a divorce attorney in Raleigh. You ready for this? She asked me after I explained everything. Not yet, I said. But I will be. Meanwhile, Cody acted like nothing had happened. He kept planning dinners with his family. One weekend, he asked me if I wanted to do brunch at Mom's. I said, no, he blinked, surprised. Why not? I looked him in the eye. Because I don't want to. That was the first time I'd ever said it so plain. He didn't like it. You've been cold lately, he said one night. You're acting like I cheated or something. I said nothing. Just looked at him. He threw up his hands. It was a joke. Rachel was joking. You know how she is. I nodded. I know exactly how she is. He stormed off to sleep on the couch. That became a pattern. He didn't touch me for weeks. He stayed out late, said he was blowing off steam. I didn't ask where he went. I already knew. I tracked the credit card. A bar downtown. Then a hotel charge. Once. Twice. 3 times. He was seeing someone. Maybe Ashley. Maybe not. I didn't care anymore. That part of me, the part that used to burn with jealousy, was gone. He'd put the fire out himself. What he didn't know was that I'd already moved half our savings into my new account. Quietly. Legally. And I'd started therapy. Real therapy. Not the couple's kind where we'd pretend to solve things in front of a stranger, then go home and not speak. This was for me. My therapist, Dr. Holloway, said something that stuck with me. You're not angry because they were cruel. You're angry because you let them be cruel for too long. She was right. One day, while Cody was at work, I boxed up every photo of his family. I took down the wedding pictures. I packed his mother's china, the set she insisted we use. I filled 4 boxes and stacked them by the door. When he came home, he stopped cold. What the hell is this? I wiped my hands and said, you can take those to your mother's. Or burn them. I don't care. You're being dramatic, he said. No, I said. Not anymore. He looked at me like he didn't recognize me. Maybe he didn't. Maybe this was the first time he actually saw me. A week later, I drove to Raleigh and signed the divorce paperwork with Taylor. We filed the same day. I didn't serve him right away. No, I waited for the right moment. The perfect moment. It came faster than I expected. 2 weeks after I filed, Cody came home holding a flyer. Guess what? He said, grinning like an idiot. Mom's throwing us a party. I stared at him. For what? Our 6-year anniversary, he said. She wants to do it big this time, make up for, you know. I blinked. She wants to make up for humiliating me by doing it again? He shrugged. It'll be different. She said you could even pick the wine. I almost laughed. Instead, I said, sure. Let her plan it. His eyes lit up. Really? Really? Because now I had a plan. See, while Cody and his mother were planning centerpieces and guest lists, I was talking to Taylor. She was helping me pull a list of dates and names. All the times he'd used our joint account to cover hotel stays and drinks. Every charge. Every lie. I also learned something interesting. His name wasn't on our house. We'd bought it just before the wedding, but the down payment was from my late uncle's inheritance. My name was the only one on the deed. I had forgotten, but Taylor hadn't. Do you want to keep the house? She asked. Yes, I said. But not just for me. For who then? You'll see. The day of the party came. I wore a long black dress. Classy. Serious. He thought I wore it for him. His mother complimented me through gritted teeth. His sister avoided me completely. Ashley wasn't there, but her name came up twice, once in a story about Cody's wild college days, and once by his uncle, who muttered something about how she was a firecracker. I said nothing. Smiled. Drank a single glass of wine. Waited. Then, when everyone was gathered near the cake, I tapped my glass. Everyone turned. I have a toast, I said. Rachel rolled her eyes. Cody grinned, thinking I was finally playing along. I pulled a manila envelope from my purse. I want to thank Cody, I said. Not just for the last 6 years, but for showing me who he really is. A few guests shifted. Someone chuckled. I opened the envelope. These are divorce papers. Filed 2 weeks ago. I just needed the right time to serve them. Gasps. Real ones. Cody blinked. What the hell are you doing? I'm leaving you, I said. And I want everyone to know exactly why. I turned to his mom. Thank you for teaching me how to recognize fake kindness. I looked at Rachel. Thanks for the toast last year. You were right, he does belong with someone else. Just not me. Then I walked out. But the story doesn't end there. Because what came next was worse for him than anything I could have said in that room. I didn't go back to the house that night. I went to a small hotel on the edge of town where Taylor had reserved me a room under another name. Cody called. Over and over. Left voicemails confused, angry, then suddenly begging. I didn't respond. The next morning, I had the locks changed. When he showed up banging on the front door that evening, I stood behind the glass window and said one word, "Leave." "You can't kick me out," he yelled. "This house is in my name. You never put in a dime." He stared at me, then laughed like I was bluffing. But he stopped laughing when he got the court order 2 days later. Taylor had filed for full separation of assets. Since I had proof of emotional neglect, public humiliation, and suspected infidelity plus full ownership of the house, the judge granted me temporary possession. He had 72 hours to get his stuff. I watched him pack from the porch. Quiet. Still. I didn't say a word. He didn't either. His family? They tried to get involved. His mom showed up, yelling through the screen door about how I was tearing the family apart. I told her to leave or I'd call the cops. She left. But I wasn't done. Because Cody had one thing left that still gave him status, his job. He worked at a regional marketing firm. His boss knew me. We'd gone to college together, though we weren't close. I didn't want to get involved in his work life, but that changed when I found the texts. He'd been messaging Ashley for months. Explicit messages. From his work phone. So I forwarded the screenshots to his boss. Not as revenge. As information. A week later, he was let go for inappropriate use of company property and conduct that reflected poorly on the firm. It wasn't just the texts. It was the parties. The drinking. He'd been skating on thin ice. Now the ice broke. He moved into his buddy's basement on the outskirts of town. And his family? They begged me not to go public. But I didn't have to. Word got around on its own. Asheville isn't that big. People talk. A woman at the grocery store even said, "Good for you, girl," under her breath as I passed her in the aisle. But even I wasn't perfect in all this. The truth is, I should have walked away sooner. I should have stood up for myself years ago. I let them treat me like furniture in his life, something he owned, not someone he loved. I stayed too quiet for too long. That's on me. But not anymore. I kept the house. I rented the second bedroom to a sweet older woman who just lost her husband. We sit on the porch most nights with coffee and talk about our mistakes. Cody still texts sometimes. Last message was 3 months ago, "I'm sorry. Can we talk?" I didn't answer. Because some doors, once closed, should stay that way. And if his family ever wonders why they weren't invited to the hospital when his niece was born, or why they didn't get to see him walk across the stage at his new trade school graduation, they can think back to the night they raised a toast. To the real woman. And remember the silence that followed after. That silence? That was me. Walking away for good.